The bounty hunters. I thought your genus were the climbers among the kobe species. Pukey notes as he looks up at their quarter-sized guest. She's managed to wedge herself into the corner of the infirmary's walls and roof and was staring down at them both. Why she was doing that was painfully apparent, as the girl couldn't be more visibly scared if there were neon lights pointing to her with the word terrified flashing in bright pink. Is now really the time for that? Cindy demands from on top of the nearest bed to the terrified Kobe. Well, what do you want me to do? Would prying her out of that corner do anything beyond give the poor girl a heart attack? He asks, pointing up at her. I need you here to catch her when her strength finally gives out and she falls, Cindy says. Fair enough. Pukey remarks, grabbing the pillow from the bed and taking a few more steps to get ready to dive in and catch her. Young lady, you have to talk to me eventually, if for no other reason than to enjoy the lovely meal you've been brought. The terrified young Kobe just stares at her. Child, I know you've probably been told not to talk to strangers, but you're going to have to in this case. I know big scary Tret is big and scary, but he's a big cuddler once you get to know him. He looks like death, the tiny Kobe says. That's a change of pace. The guys keep telling me I look like an idiot. Pukey jokes to ease the tension. The little Kobe's expression sort of changes for a moment before going back to normal. That's because you keep dressing up like a pirate and put the eye patch on the wrong side. I thought it made me look dashing. Pukey's tone is outright hurt, and there's a tiny suppressed snort from the Kobe. It doesn't. It really, really doesn't. Cindy counters, and there's a sudden cry as the Kobe loses her grip in the corner and falls, right into the waiting pillow that Pukey has ready for her. That wasn't fair, the Kobe protests. Fair or not, it got you down without hurting you, which means it was exactly what I was hoping for. Pukey remarks as he puts the pillow onto the bed. Thank you for the catch, darling. You can go now so you stop scaring the poor girl. What? Me? Scary? Pukey asks, and Cindy just gives him a level look. Fine, but can I at least have some of this before it starts to go cold? Fine. It seems the poor girl lost her appetite anyways, but no putting any of that ghastly salt on it. Fine. Or that vile brine, Cindy adds. The vinegar? Pukey asks. Or that wretched acid fruit juice. But lemon juice is a classic on fish and chips, Pukey protests, and she turns to give him another look. All right. Nothing to make this taste better. Fine. I apologize for that, Cindy says as the Kobe girl watches Pukey grab one of the pieces and take a big, crunchy bite out of it. His kind are basically what happens when you make Canadors look like Trets, but even more crazy and somehow cuddly at the same time. Very odd, but in a good way. Jeeves thanks, Pukey says around a mouthful of hot, succulent fish meat. The Kobe girl licks her lips at the sight. He sticks the chunk of fried fish in his mouth and then holds it there before loading up one of the plates with fish and the tuber pieces. He then takes 3 steps, sets it down in front of her, and steps away. You've had a heck of a day. A full stomach will help with dealing with it. The Kobe says, staring down at the plate. She picks it up and it smells wonderful. Nothing is going the way it should be. Shouldn't enemies act like enemies? Shouldn't the evil act evil? Who are you people? The Tret moves into a stiff and formal-looking pose and salutes her. It looks considerably odd considering he's almost smeared the half-eaten piece of fish into his forehead. Captain Gregory Schmidt of the Undaunted, Bounty Hunting Service Chainbreaker Division. At your service, ma'am. Still trying to lock down a proper formal name for it? Cindy asks, and his salute turns into him shrugging before taking a thoughtful-looking bite of the fish. Somewhat. Trying to find a proper way of formally introducing every aspect without sounding goofy or stilted. The official name is still technically up in the air, so, yeah, Pukey says with a shrug. So, you're bounty hunters? We're a military branch that acts as bounty hunters. Basically, we're a mobile recruitment office, public advertisement, as well as a weapon and tactics testing ground. What's going on? Why did your men attack me? She asks. You showed up in the vehicle of a brutal criminal responsible for billions of deaths, looking like her written in miniature, and then when you were questioned but not threatened, you refused to give any answers and then tried to run, Pukey says, and she freezes. But she wouldn't. She couldn't. She didn't do anything wrong, the girl protests. Pukey brings out a device that scans the girl and she flinches back, even as Cindy glares at him, and he regards her carefully. You are a clone of Iva Grace. Would you like to see what she did to the other clones? They failed, the girl says. Failing is easy when you're outright sabotaged, Pukey says. And as he's about to project the image, Cindy covers the device and blocks the image. She's been through enough. She doesn't need to see those horrors. Cindy counters and Pukey shakes his head. She has to. She needs to understand exactly what the person she's defending did, Pukey says. She was working to protect this world and countless others. She kept it safe. No, she didn't, Pukey says, and he holds the device just a little out of Cindy's reach and projects the image of a pale generator above it. Meet your siblings. There were thousands of these abominations across the entire planet. They created a deadly energy field that massacred the civilian population, trapped the survivors, and ground them down in fear and terror. That's enough, Cindy says. I'm afraid it's not, though. Pukey continues, and he presses a button to show a massive face. When we were bringing her in for questioning and tearing down her field of horrors, she unleashed this thing on us, and it required the kind of weapons you normally would use to scour a continent clean of life to kill. In the end, we had to resort to poisons, which means its tainted, rotting corpse has to be disposed of now. It's still your family, though, all thanks to the woman you're protected. All thanks to Iva. Stop! Cindy shouts, and he looks at her with surprise. We will talk later. You need to leave now. I promised her that she would be safe in my infirmary, and I will not let my husband make a liar out of me. Very well, Pukey says as he pockets the device and offers them both a nod. He's out of the infirmary just a few moments later, and the tiny Cobe finally lets herself breathe again. He's lying. He has to be. She couldn't have. She wouldn't have. She... Oh, sweetheart, Cindy begins. Yes, there is potentially more out there. We're tracking down every lead we have, but you guys keeping us informed will help immensely, Pukey says on the call as Cindy walks in on him. Half impressed, half angry, and half a dozen other things that she's sure she should and shouldn't be feeling all at once. Yes, we'll be keeping a copy of all information we find on this on a protected site. We've already set up a system for government forces to make their own accounts, he says into his conversation as he gives her a smile and wave before holding up a finger to ask for some time. We'll be keeping that updated and... Yes, I understand that civilians can and likely will hack into such a thing, and hack. It's a slang term my species uses to describe invading the security of a computer system. You call it chopping? Never mind, we're off track. Yes, I'm aware that the data node will be accessed by parties not invited to see it. That can be a good thing, though, as Madam Governor. Madam, if you'll let me finish what I'm saying, I'm positive it will make more sense. He pulls the communicator away from his ear somewhat as the woman on the other end is letting him have it. He holds a hand over the receiver. How's our guest doing? Did you have to play it so harshly to get her talking? Cindy asks plaintively. We need her talking. It's dirty, but there are lives at stake. He justifies. He then has to turn back to the communicator, and he has a finger up again as she huffs. She wants to argue. She really wants to argue. Madam Governor, if you're done ranting at me, perhaps I can now explain, he asks, and Cindy can only imagine how irritated the woman on the other end is getting. Right. Well, perhaps if you thought things through a little more clearly, you would realize that this was actually a wonderful opportunity for you. No, I am not in the habit of ingesting mind-altering substances. Debatable. Cindy mutters and gets a pleading look from Pukey that has her suppressing giggles. Madam, no madam, please just listen. For the love of God, woman, I'm trying to help you here. I said, for the love of God, woman, I'm trying to help you here. Which God? The Christian one. Christian. This call is not to discuss theology. Do you give this much hassle to people trying to help you on the regular? He demands with an incredulous look on his face. Whatever answer he gets clearly does not impress. It's a miracle you're still alive, let alone in a governmental position. I've told you what I and my team are going to do. Good day. He hangs up the call with a huge huff of irritation. Cindy lets out a slight huff of amusement. Well, I'm glad someone enjoyed that, Pukey says in an adorably grumpy tone as he pockets the communicator. Locals aren't helpful? She asks. Not in the slightest. If I never have to speak to Governor Marifold again, then it's 2 times too many. Isn't this the first time you've ever spoken to her? Cindy asks in amusement. She may have wanted to argue with him about being harsh with the poor little girl, but he clearly wasn't going off to cackle in the distance. He was going from one unpleasant situation into another. My point exactly, he says, and she snorts in amusement. His communicator goes off and he examines who's calling before deactivating the device entirely. And she can spin on it for a few more minutes. I'll talk to her when I'm ready to deal with her. Really that bad? Cindy asks, and he nods. Yes. Now, I hate to really drive the point in, but what have you learned from our little guest? He asks, and she sighs and she walks up and tugs on his shirt. He kneels down and she grabs on. She confirmed what my own scan said. She's even younger than she looks and doesn't have a proper name, Cindy says and nuzzles in as he stands up again and gently holds her. She's 4 years old, 12 developed, and is number 5. That's her name. 5. Just 5. A lab assistant and second pair of hands. She knows so little about anything that she has no idea that her life is horrible. She should be running around and playing. She should be worrying about learning galactic trade and its alphabet, not helping monitor cloning vats and assisting surgery. So is she just another victim of protection, or can she help us? Pukey asks. I don't want her to. She's so small and helpless. Driving the van was the scariest thing she ever did before those big brutes scared her, Cindy says. So she had some kind of memory download? As far as I can tell, she's the 5th in a series of clone lab assistants and the first successful model, Cindy mutters. Implying there are more, Pukey says. Yes, Cindy groans. Search and rescue then. Not only do we have monsters to kill and innocents to protect, but we have children to rescue as well, Pukey says. Really? Cindy asks, and he rubs her back comfortingly. We may be big and scary, but we are the good guys, remember? He says with a smile, and she leans in with a laugh. Scary 1 minute, goofy the next. Good to know you're still the same. We'll save them. All you need to worry about is the healing. I'm sure you know some ways to slow that advanced aging so 5 and her sisters can get a proper childhood. I'm going to have to use a retrovirus based on myself. The safest and most reliable procedures need an untainted sample of an unmodified member of the same species. So, little 5 is going to become a member of the family? Pukey asks. That's all you're asking? Not if I can or if she's going to be okay? She's in your care. I know those answers already.